Hello, everybody, and welcome to this catch up on with Team Duo Chat on the multi-threaded conversations API. After we kind of got a head around what we actually be doing in the last week, the issues are now polished and in a pretty good state. So the idea of this get together is to hopefully very briefly let's summarize where we are and most importantly, look through those iterations. And regarding our planning issue, let's speak about the scope, about the expectations, classical refining. Basically, let's see what we have in there and if we can commit on delivering these things or if we want to adjust all of these kind of questions. So starting out, and please just cut me off if you do have any questions or comments. But the whole multi-thread conversation epics, all in all, is now, at least from what I know about it, in a ready for dev state. I think we should be good, and at least the large questions should be resolved by now. Iteration one is currently in work in progress, but it's not part of the 17.9 planning. So that might be something that we want to adjust. And currently, iteration two as a whole is part of the 17.9 planning. It is probably fair to say at this point that we're not going to be shipping the whole iteration in 17.9. So a little more granularity on this side is also what should be coming out of this meeting. Mark, you have a question just below that?
Yeah, so we recently discussed about moving the three UI implementation issue to iteration two. Those include the web UI, the two IDE extensions. So the idea is that those issues were originally just we adding the thread ID parameters, but it didn't do much else. So uh, from the user's perspective, they wouldn't perceive anything different. And I suggested we move to iteration two, combine it with what we want, the actual UI changes in iteration two. So the implementation can be done in one go. And so I have now moved it to iteration two. And I wonder how we should modify those three issues because I see you have already created another epic to purely handle the front end implementation. So
Yes.
I guess uh, one of this issue should be uh, part of this epic you created.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that would be my question. I guess you created epic because you think the change in the UI is quite drastic. Therefore, uh, it has to be managed by several issues. Is that correct?
Yeah, one step after another. So, in iteration two, the front end issues are now collected in an epic, and the main sort or the main reason behind this is it was pretty hard, if not, at least I couldn't find a way, for this screens that we're looking on to find like possible iterations that would make sense for a user using this without basically creating one front end issue that would say build the whole thing. That was kind of it. So I tried to cut it into logical pieces. Still, as a user, if you can create a thread, you need to be able to delete it. Like it doesn't, like we can't ship anything around this. So what I came up with is an epic and these four issues, and they are blocking each other's. Like these are logical implementation steps that we can follow that will allow us to keep things manageable and MRs small, but still we are not going to be shipping everything iterating behind the flag basically. until these four in total are resolved. So that is where the epic is coming from.
Cool. Then I guess we can just move one of this iteration one issue to this epic.
Um, we can,
Or
yeah. I don't have a strong opinion on this. I don't have nothing against it, but on the other hand, I don't really see a reason why not leaving it iteration one.
um, I guess it's because if we can do it in one go, we wouldn't like doing it in two different places will just take longer, and I don't see much benefit.
What do you mean in one go in this context?
So the issues are about we adding the thread ID
Mhm.
when the front end calls the GraphQL APIs. But you will be doing that anyways in your uh, new implementations.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, okay. No, I got it. Thank you. And it's not gonna be like adding those thread IDs is optional, right? Like if we just for the record, if we not that we're planning on, but if we would build iteration one and don't touch iteration two for another three milestones, still things would still be working, correct?
Uh, I think yes, we have built
Okay.
that core compatibility in mind, so it should work.
Okay. What do we then think about just closing those issues in iteration one out? Because like the issues that we're having in iteration two, front end wise, it kind of like it says build stuff that works, like to put it down basically. And that,
All
as
right.
you very much correctly mentioned, includes the thread ID. So I would personally be fine if things stay working in iteration one, then let's just close it out and leave it to that.
Yeah, that can be. Yeah, that's one way to do it. And um, I have
Uh,
another question, but I think we should leave it for later. It's less important.
So,
okay.
So,
can I make one quick comment on this? I think the issue gathered by Mark, you pinged us in iteration one epic. Are these are all related to dual quick chat issue? Is it like
oh, is
the
it for dual quick chat?
isn't it the problem to solve is a dual quick chat interface?
Yes, that was the goal, the user-facing goal for iteration one. It's a very,
Oh,
very small goal.
I didn't think of. Yeah, I went past that. Does that mean that we have to move it back to iteration one? And
I mean like probably I'm adjusting negotiating with Torsten here that probably we should create another epic that encapsulate the front end work for this dual quick chat like what Janik did for the iteration to front end work, and then encapsulate this front end work for this dual quick chat, and then
I
like we
think
can
this
discuss
this can just
with.
be an issue under iteration one, or if you like, you can also move it to iteration two. But I think it would be nice to have it under iteration one because in iteration one I've described all the goals, and so if we now move it to another iteration, I think then we have to also move the goals, and I think it's simpler if we just create an issue for the quick chat under iteration one, if we don't have that yet. And one more thing that we should probably do is once we are ready from the backend side for iteration one, we should also tell the code review guys that they shall also switch to the new chat so that they don't pollute that single chat. Or maybe this happens automatically in the backend. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, everyone?
yeah, now
Okay.
I remember.
Yeah. So the code review team has this dual code review feature, which is an experimental feature, and they use the chat for that, the backend chat. But in the front end, basically you comment inside a GitLab comment in an MR, you say /dual code review, and then the chat gets all the information of this MR and responds with comments inside the merge request, fix this and so on. And they're using the chat for that. So that means if someone executes currently code review, then that pollutes the
Okay.
chat thread, right? So you'll have this in your chat thread, and we need to tell them to move as soon as you are ready from the backend side. They need to move their front-end implementation or their implementation to also, every time someone executes dual code review, they create a new chat,
Can I
a new
quickly,
conversation.
sorry, that's an excellent point, Thorsten, and we should speak about this. But I think it's another point, and what Shinya just said about the dual quick chat in iteration one. I haven't heard about, well, I know what quick chat is, but I haven't heard about this in this context. So this is making me kind of nervous. What do we do with this? Like, what is the takeaway? Another epic? Is there? What is the call to action on this?
So my proposal here is that we decouple the scope as much as possible. Like we are sitting here because like we kind of know that we cannot ship everything in this milestone. Yeah. And like, of course, we want to solve that dual chat, do a quick chat, and then we want to resolve all front-end clients, JetBrains, VS Code extension. But simply, we don't have time for resolving all this. So like we probably should encapsulate this like high-level value for end users, and then we decide this like encapsulate each value into epic, and then we list the issues as a like a technical iteration, like just Janik demonstrated for the iteration to front end work. And then like we select which epic we will try to ship in this milestone. Does it make sense?
It doesn't make a lot of sense. My question would be the
For me,
sales.
it just complicates everything. So just
I
because the
disagree with that.
timeline,
So
just because of the timeline, right? We can just say we move iteration 1 to the 17.9, right? If that's if the problem is that iteration 1 is not finished, I think we shouldn't split it up, do all the work of splitting it up to have something in 17.9. Let's just move the whole thing to 17.9.
but
And we have some issues that are in 17.8 and some issues on 17.9.
I get that. I'm very much with you on Torsten, but Shinya, correct me if I'm wrong. That is not how I just understood. Like this is not about basically cutting epics that way that they fit into a milestone. That would be that wouldn't be the right thing to do. This was more about creating smaller logical units from this epic. That is how I see it. Like for example, what we just spoke about, do a quick chat. From iteration one, I did not yet find this mentioned anywhere. This is currently not quite there yet. So having another epic in there would basically be like building backend on this, shipping this to IDEs. Here are our IDEs. This is what we got to take care of, and then quick chat would be one small part of that. That would probably go a pretty long way. Whatever milestone we then ship it in, like that is a whole different story.
I think like in other words, from my perspective, if the product find not to ship anything in 16.9, probably we don't need to split anything. We can just work on these issues. Yeah. So like probably we are sitting here because we are striving to deliver something in 60.9 to getting closer to the vision of Torsten. So like
So
what's the expectation here?
So I'm not saying we have to ship something in 17.9. I think we should try, but I think it's a lot of work. I understand that, and we're already a few days in the milestone. So the things for iteration 2, I think it's quite realistic that you will not make that, because also, as Yannick said, we can't just ship listing the threads but not having a delete button. So iteration 2 is like as small as it can be from a legal perspective also, and also from a user perspective. Like, it shouldn't be so that you can't manage these lists. So I think we need to ship that as one thing. But for instance, the quick chat, right? I think that should be possible to do that sometime in this milestone. And because it's part of iteration 1 plan, we can have either you can create an epic under it if it's multiple IDEs, or just one issue if it's only one. I don't know whether every IDE has a quick chat. So I think that would be something we can put under iteration 1, and hopefully could ship that in 17.9.
Question of
Okay.
understanding, if I may. Where is the quick chat currently tracked?
That I don't know.
So
Because
there are 3 issues. I moved it yesterday because I didn't I completely forgot about quick chat. So it's currently in iteration 2, but now I remember about the quick chat. We probably can move it back to iteration 1.
so is it in iteration 2 or is it untracked at the moment?
It's in iteration 2.
Okay, then
The
let's move
link
with
to issue 1 is if you go down a bit, the web front end call the thread with ID, with thread ID.
So this one is about quick chat,
There we
chat
go.
thread, and
Okay.
but you have lumped them together. Both duo chat thread and quick chat thread is in one issue.
For the VS Code extension, that kind of like I would argue that doesn't make sense in a way.
It does or does not.
It does, like you could yeah.
Okay, help me understand the backend implementation, Mark. So I read that Shinya turned it on fully for all users a few days ago, right? So that means we're no longer storing data in Redis. We're now storing it in the database. So when I now type in the IDE something like a question, it is stored in the database. And when I type clear or reset, it goes to a new thread in the backend. And the old thread still exists for 30 days, will be deleted in 30 days. But it will not, because the front end doesn't support it, it cannot be reached. Probably you could reach it by going to the database, but no user can reach it.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Okay. So then it makes sense to actually lump them together here. So what is the first one? A thread from main duo chat window, conversation, duo chat, latest thread. Usually the duo chat window will display the thread which was most recently updated. What do you mean by usually? So are you saying the logic for the duo chat thread in the IDE should be, when I open my IDE and I open the chat, we should show the last edited chat. And if someone then types here, the last edited chat is the new chat, right? Is a new thread. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice, because by doing this, you are very nicely removing the need for the let's say in the web, we have a UI that you can switch conversations in, but in the IDE it just comes a month later or a week later or so, because we don't need to synchronize this. By adding this logic, you make it nice so that the IDE side can then move to the actual multi-threaded UI whenever they have time to, right? So we're by doing that, we're kind of making the rollout easily, or making the rollout not dependent too much on the different pieces, right? So I think this is a really good idea. And we can do this in iteration 1, right?
Yeah, we can do it in iteration 1.
And who can do this? Is this our team can do this, or do we need to ask this from the IDE team, from the editor team?
Yeah, this is also my question. I think we want to ask the IDE team, the extension team, because yeah.
Of understanding who can do this. This in this context is what are we speaking about?
This is the epic that the issue that you had just opened, the VS Code one that you wanted to move.
That I somehow lost. But yeah, I'm with you. This one.
That one, yeah.
Yep. And this is also, yeah. So I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but
let's move this. Can we decide to move this to iteration 1?
Yeah,
and the sisters as well.
Yeah, then I will move it back.
Sweet. Mark, please do so. One more thing, we are at time. If anybody needs to leave, please feel free. I personally have about 10, 15 minutes more we can do.
So we need to understand whether this is work that needs to be done by the editor team. Is that so?
I can answer this. Yeah, like in theory and also in practice, best case, yes, this code does belong to the editor team. Full stop.
But you could do it as well, or so can we contribute? Is that easier for us than to negotiate with them when they do it?
For sure not easier. We can do a lot of things if we really, well, we can do a lot of things, but for several reasons, I think we shouldn't. First off, it's their domain. We won't be too happy with that. They probably won't be too happy with that either. And on top of that, there is also very important the language server migration going on. And I'm struggling, at least this year, how far they are. So that is something that we would need to get our heads around first, and they have way more knowledge in this, so it's going to be more efficient for them to do that.
Okay, then I suspect it will mean that they will do it in 17.10 because they have already booked the 17.9, but that's okay, since we're also still taking time for the iteration 2 and both front end and back end. So they're probably not holding us up. Then Mark or someone, could you also create similar issues for the code review team so that they also switch their code review feature, their dual code review feature? Or do you know enough about code review, or maybe Shinya or Eva? I don't know whether any one of you is familiar with it.
No, it's actually the first time I hear about it. So
I can create an issue for that. There's a feature called dual code review. It's kind of like you can ask a review in a merge request, and then the GitLab dual bot is gonna make insert comments, and then like you can interact with these threads in the merge request. It's developed by the other team.
By the code review team, and try it out, right? So I mean, you write code every day. Just go into your own MR, and before asking another coworker to do the review, see whether dual code review can help you. just go into a comment in your MR, like a new comment, and you type slash, I think it should show up maybe Duo code review or something, or code review. Do you know, Shinya?
I forgot the product name, but I will fill the details later in the issue.
No, I mean for the others to just try it out, right? So I recommend you try it out.
Right. So there will be
Anyway.
Yeah. Let's continue.
Yeah.
And my other question would be that we create these issues which we assign. We say they are belong to the extension team, but how do we usually notify them that such thing exists and are supposed to be, well, we hope to schedule them in the next milestone. Like usually we just create the issue, but we don't know how to ping them. Is there?
Yeah. So let's ping, in the case of code review, let's ping Kai. And I don't know who the lead engineer there is that we can maybe include. I kind of remember it was engineers that actually asked us whether they can do that. Do you remember, Shinya, who that engineer was?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll
Are you
ping
going
this.
to you're going to create the issue and ping them and CC us here as well?
Of
Okay,
course.
cool.
Is it Kai Armstrong or?
Yes.
Okay.
So
that's
sorry.
for-
Like in this documentation, it says like, could you please create an issue for dual chat code review that we make sure we don't break this? I mean, like the goal is that dual code review feature should not pollute that main dual chat thread, right? So like they
Yes.
should create a separate thread. Okay, got it.
Every time someone types the code review / command, they should create a new thread. And they can, if they find a way, they can reuse their thread, right? If it's like a consecutive conversation, they can, of course, use the same thread. But that's for them to figure out, right? All we want is that they don't pollute the thread. And I think, Mark and Eva, you have implemented in a way that the one that creates a thread also marks the feature. Is that so? So is there like is there a way to communicate, I want to show this thread in the thread history, and I don't want to show this thread in the thread history? Is there such a thing?
We have thread types, therefore we will only be displaying dual chart type threads in the dual chart window.
Perfect. Then, especially for the code review one, we want to have a type that doesn't show in the history, right? I would edit here, but I don't have edit right.
Oh, on the agenda. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Just thanks for the notice. I fixed that.
Yeah, I envision that code review threads will have its own type, therefore it will not be displayed in the main dual chart list. And just to be clear, code review type threads are also different to the quick chart thread, right? So it's the third type.
Sorry, can you ask again? I'm not sure I understood.
The code review thread is different to the quick chart thread.
Yes.
So it's like a third type of thread.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Don't highlight this. But have we documented everything? Duo code review should have a different conversation type to filter out from the Duo chat thread list. Yeah, perfect. Avoid polluting the main thread when Duo chat code review feature is triggered. User Yeah, okay. Okay, and then ask Kai. So we can also put that under iteration 1, and I suspect that they will do it in 17.10. At the time that they introduced this, I made them promise that as soon as we are ready from the backend side, that they will switch as really quickly. So they shouldn't tell us, yeah, we're doing this in 3 months. So they should do this really next.
Okay. And this won't for the extensions, they wouldn't block iteration 1, or should it? Like
They would block iteration 1, but you can already work on iteration 2, right? So
okay, so
that
right.
can happen in parallel.
Okay, yep.
And if you tell me all the issues, I can ask Dasha to prioritize it, or you can ask Dasha. Will you do it, Mark, or?
So in practice, how like what will need to be done when you say asking her to prioritize it? Do we just ping them and say, could you schedule it, or?
Yeah. So you can say this is an important piece of the work to get the multi-threaded conversations ready and to unblock us from also releasing, I suppose, if they don't do that part that you described about Duo Chat, not Duo Quick Chat, then we are also blocked from releasing in the web UI, right? Because that thing that you wrote there makes the release rollout independent. And if they don't do that, then maybe we can't roll out the web UI. Is that correct? Or is this already independent?
I'm
Or what
actually a
happens
bit
now? What happens now if I use the IDE? We have already turned on the backend. What is now shown? Always a new one or always the last one? Or
Yeah, it always shows the last one.
so that means what you described in the issue is already done?
Yeah, it's it's well, what I described in the issue is that when we create something, we will specify the thread type, and that's not done because currently, if I remember correctly, it's always dual chat. But we want to make sure we create different types, right? In order to distinguish.
But for the Duo Chat in the IDE, do we want to create a different type? Do we want to create Duo Chat in IDE versus when I create a new thread in the web, I create Duo Chat? Or not?
If they are both the ordinary dual chat, they should be the same type.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that, right? So because we want to have one list of conversations, whether they were started in the IDE or in the web should not matter. So I think having the Duo Chat in the IDE, the same type as the Duo Chat in the web, makes sense.
Yeah, it's a default behavior, and therefore, yeah, if you say we have already done that part, because that's the default behavior, which we want to keep the behavior the same. So I'm a bit confused when you say that.
I'm more asking what is the behavior now? If you don't do anything in the IDE, what is the behavior now? Is it already what you described in that issue? Or will something change when you make that issue?
If it's about a dual chat thread, then I don't think the behavior will change.
Mm.
But if it's about a dual quick chart thread, then that's the new behavior which we need
Yeah.
to implement.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. And that is means we're not being blocked by them, right? Their logic for the duo chat already works with the new backend. And if we add features like list and so on, it doesn't affect them. It only affects them when they actually update their UI to actually show the lists and to allow deleting and so on. Is that correct, Shinya? Okay,
Yes.
cool. Okay, then maybe from the goal of those issues, Mark, you can remove the first goal about the duo chat thread.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But please say no, right? If I'm coming to wrong conclusions here, or if we need to validate that, we can also validate it. But if you describe this as already the behavior, then I think we don't need to do anything.
Yeah. Well, to the user, I think the behavior is the same. So we could remove it. And I guess what you let me rephrase. I think what you are after, the key thing is that for quick chart, it will be different thread, right? It will be a good user
quick chat.
feature which we want to achieve. So I think we can focus on that.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you want, I can ask Dasha. Just send me all the issues where I need to ask Dasha. And then you can Slack me, and then I can ask Dasha if you like.
Okay, then sure.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So far so clear. Asking this, like, are we now? What do we make of this? Are our questions all resolved?
Just yeah, before we go, I ask a couple of questions. So in this milestone, we are trying to finish iteration 1. Does it mean like Yannick gonna stop what he's doing right now? Like he's preparing some work for iteration 2, right? And then
For
like
the record, I haven't started yet, but okay.
oh yeah, so like for example, like I was working on some GraphQL API extension to unblock you. And then I was just wondering, like, do I need to, you know, reprioritize some of the issues assigned to me right now, and then work on something like more shifting towards to open issues in iteration 1 epic instead of like,
And which ones are open in iteration 1, except those that need to be done by the editor team? Are there issues that need to be done by us?
There are a few handful issues, like for example, if you
These
go
are the open
down,
ones.
yeah, the switch to PostgreSQL, we need to finish it. We need to complete this. This is should be straightforward, and then there are some dangling issues above. The accept expose conversation thread ID is done.
Okay. I don't know anything about the issues, just a gut feeling, and maybe I get this wrong, but it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 open issues currently in iteration 1. We are about, I don't know, 30, 40% in this milestone. Should we remove iteration 2 from this planning? That's
fine.
just a
Yeah,
gut
that's
feeling.
Well,
But
that's
I
actually
feel
when confusion comes from. Like when the iteration 2 is scheduled in this milestone planning. I was so
yeah,
like,
okay.
okay, so does it
Yeah.
mean like we're gonna deliver something in this
Okay, I'm
milestone?
gonna move
That's
it to 17.10,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm
But
going
like
to
this,
move in place
doesn't
of
make
that,
sense.
I'll put iteration 1.
okay, yeah, it's just a gut feeling, but just by the number, even if those are pretty small issues, still that is a lot. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all questions I wanted to ask. Yeah, sorry.
If you need more help, I think Leslie can help if that makes sense. If you need more people to work on this to get faster progress. Does that make sense? Should we ask Leslie? Because Leslie wrote that all the issues in this milestone are already taken by other engineers. She doesn't know what to do. So
we've got plenty of issues. We'll be right.
I'll
So
leave it up to
should-
Mark for the final goal if we should pull her in. I will just work on the empty issues. I think like some of them should be able to parallelize. So I'll leave up to Mark.
Yeah, I think I need to think about it. But
yeah, I mean, if you think you and Eva and Shinya are enough, then we need to not add more people, right? So, but she's looking for work, and just tell me whether I need to think about something for her that is other than this.
okay.
Okay. Just send me a message when you've made a decision.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Can I steal 30 more seconds from you before we drop for like a little, not a piece of action,
Yeah,
but
sure.
more like a theory kind of thing that was just going through my head while we discussed all those IDE features, all those other features, I should say, the quick chat, and do a review and all of these features that are not owned by our team. Take that with you, just a piece of thought, but maybe we need to adjust our sync in here on our features a little more to a platform level, because the problem that I see, there is like more and more dual features that are not owned by us coming in, which is great, but we are currently trying to manage our endpoints and fulfill all their needs. And I just worry that this is not going to scale very well. Maybe we can do it today. We're struggling, but in a couple of months, we might have like double the duo features, and then things will just become unbearable. So maybe get this on a bit of a more theoretical level, focusing on providing an API we document and support, and then kind of have an official communication channel where you be like, this is how you interact with Duo Chat. And then at the end of the day, it is on the teams to implement those as well. And this is already today. But to generalize our communications around this, this is maybe something we should iterate towards. As I mentioned, just an idea. Let's leave things as they are currently, but I do see.
But I think this is a good idea to, as part of iteration 1. Mark just explained how this works with the type. All right, we should explain in the contributor guide. We should explain this logic that we now have multiple threads, and that yeah, I don't know. Is it you find it this way?
I don't.
No.
If you have a link, please put it in the agenda.
Yeah, click on it. Click on that one.
That one?
Yeah, and then hold on. Oh no, and go to the contribute at the bottom left. Expand that one. Expand contribute to GitLab. You don't know this? It's just like I thought you look at this every day.
Sure.
And then development processes in the middle of that section. No, on the left side. Left side. Left side. Left.
Left side. There we go. Yeah.
And then AI features. And then dual chat. So I think it makes sense to add an issue to document the new multi-threaded conversations and how you should decide which type you should add, right? And
Yep.
I guess, yeah, what is the guidance? The guidance, think about whether you want your conversation to show up in the history. Does it make sense that it shows up there? Or does it make sense that it doesn't show up there? If it doesn't, create a new type. And I think, Mark, then you need to set the type as don't show in the history, or how does that work?
We only show the one type in the history, which is the
dual chat. Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. So who's going to create an issue for documenting this in the contributor guide?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much. You have like the most background on this. That's great.
But Yannick, this is a very good point. We should always think that way.
Yep, and thanks for the reminder that we already have these docs in place. Like I'm uncomfortable to answer if I remembered those, but thanks for bringing this up again. Awesome, cool.
And if we create that, like you can already start a merge request today, then this is something that we can attach to the issues for the code review team and also for the IDE team, that they know how this works, right? And it makes more sense for them what to do with those issues.
Yes, very much so. And every team which is currently or planning on using these things does have like a single source of truth to tap in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do we need to tell? Hold on. Do we also need to tell the workflow team something? Are they also? We need to tell them as well, right?
How are they involved?
Aren't they also using the chat? And in the past, did they write to Redis? And now they're writing to the database? Sinja, do you know how the workflow team does that?
I don't know.
Okay.
At least they don't use the chat storage.
They don't use it, or they do use it?
They don't use our chat storage at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought they're using.
I think like they can extend their message storage to I mean they can reuse our structure. It's pretty open, so yeah. But like I really have no idea what they are planning to support.
Okay, I will talk to Pini if he knows. Okay, good. Great.
Awesome. No open questions from my side. Please update the epic and the planning issue accordingly. And then thanks for your time, and I'll catch you soon.
Right, cool.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Have
everyone.
a good one, everybody. See you
Bye.
later.